Hello and welcome to Esoteric Discussions with me, your host, Valentine St Aubyn. I'm now joined with a local artist here in Peterborough. You can currently see some of his work at Harriet's Tea Shop in town, upstairs in the newly opened gallery. He's a very busy man and one in great demand, and when I say great demand, I mean great demand. And I'm glad to have him here this evening. Tony Nero, welcome to the show.
Hi, good afternoon. Hello, Valentine.
Yeah,
lovely to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, it's good to have you here as well. You've been doing so many great things, and we may not have enough time this evening to talk about all of them. But let's just begin by. I was actually very interested to know how you were invited to have some of your artwork placed into the gallery there at Harriet's. How did that come about?
All right. Well, what happened there was Dawn Birch James, the antiques dealer, local antiques dealer in Peterborough. She actually spoke to Kingsley, the manager at the tea room, and managed to organise the gallery upstairs. And I was invited. I know Dawn quite well, and we've worked together before. And I was invited along to take part in the exhibition, which was a great success.
Yes, I think you had the launch, it was about 2 weeks ago now, was it?
2 weeks ago, yeah. And it was well attended by a lot of local business people in Peterborough, so it was really, really good.
And so what is her aim of having that gallery space? Is she trying to make it be a showcase for local artists, like professional or amateur? I mean, what's sort of the... let's say the approach from her side?
Well, the approach initially is to actually show a lot of local art, but it's also to, build something really, really substantial in Peterborough. We're really trying to push art a lot in Peterborough, and that's one of the things that we're really sort of trying to focus on at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. Sounds very good. And, I mean, just for the audience to know, we're both members of the Peterborough Open Artist Studios, and we both try to do lots of work for within the artistic field for Peterborough, trying to engage the public and also let other people know what is going on out there, because many people don't realise how many talented artists we do have in the Peterborough area. So it's all good things. So, Tony, tell us about how you began. I mean... talent is talent, and many times it can't be taught, but it can, I suppose, be refined over time. How did you begin with your artistic endeavours?
Wow, well, that's really a long story, but I've always loved to draw. Ever since I was a little kid, I've always drawn, and being at school, I sort of took it on further. When I left school, I decided to do graphic designing. But I still kept on drawing. A lot of my work is actually self-taught. I like to sort of experiment, and I'm not actually afraid to sort of pick something up and give it a go, really, and really develop whatever I've got in front of me. And that's really how it all really began, really. And
did you go on to university and study there? I mean... And do it the official way, like many artists have done in the past?
Well, I actually spent a year in London at the London Guildhall University. But with commitments, family commitments, business commitments, I had to actually leave it. And so most of the work that I actually do is actually self-taught.
And you do have a great talent. I mean, some of what you have created is just beautiful art. I mean, hopefully our listeners tonight might log onto your website and have a look at some of the artwork you have on your website. Your website is at TonyNeroBrushworks.com?
TonyNeroBrushworks.com, yeah. But I'm very easy to be found on Google.
Yes.
Just put my name in.
Yes, because he's a very busy man. He has been out there just doing all sorts of things. So, we've talked about your background in the artistic world, but I also know that you're a fantastic graphic designer. How did that start?
Well, when I left school, I actually joined a company in London, a printing company in London, and we actually did a lot of design work for the music industry. And where I did a lot of design work for a lot of musicians, a lot of the early punk bands, a lot of the early reggae bands. And I also had my own company for 10 years as well in London.
Wow. And so so you were using your artistic skills and doing what, album covers and flyers and posters and things?
Yeah, that's right. But the problem with working as a graphic designer at the time, I didn't actually exploit my artistic talent as much. It was after I'd actually packed up the graphic design company that I'd actually focused on the actual fine art side of things.
The painting and what you've now really created.
What I'm now doing, yeah.
So, I mean, what would you say to people out there who are, you know, they have some talent too. Many people have artistic talent, and it's very true. The difference between, I suppose, you know, between some artists and other artists is really just getting out there and doing it. You have to start somewhere, and you have to give yourself a chance to be seen, first of all, and then you grow from there. But, you know, what advice would you say to someone who, you know, maybe doesn't feel like they have the full confidence to get out there, but really wants to do it? How would you tell them to start?
Well, what I always say to people whenever I speak to people who are actually feeling that way, I always say to them that, you know, don't look at art as, oh, it's something that I have to do and it has to be perfect. I always say that I look at art as mark making. And if you look at it as mark making, and what you're doing, you're literally making marks and you're creating something. And don't be afraid of making mistakes. Just try everything and experiment. Mm-hmm. And don't be afraid. Don't be shy.
Yes. And, you know, you have amassed a great body of work, and we're going to get into some of the exhibitions that you've done in the past and what you're doing, what's coming up. You've got some amazing things coming up. I mean, in the general scheme of things, how do you start with your own portfolio? I mean, I know you have a variety of landscape types of paintings, lots of portraits. How did you actually begin to feel confident yourself to sit down and start painting? Because it's a big jump to go from graphic design and also just drawing creatively in your own spare time to being like very professional like what you are now. So again, how would you approach that and give advice to someone who is trying to put together a professional portfolio?
Well, what I actually look at for myself is that I sort of always wanted to improve myself, and what I tend to do is I just try to develop whatever I'm doing all the time, and I never look at something that I've done and think, oh yeah, that's perfect. I always try to improve it all the time. And what I did was, as I started to produce work, I just kept producing work all the time. Every time I finished something, I just kept producing something else all the time until I'd actually build up a portfolio of work. And that's really the best way to do it. Just keep producing work until you've got a substantial amount of work.
Yes, that's very good advice. It's just, you know, you just have to keep ticking away at it, don't you?
Yeah.
And keep your eyes open, and if you see anything, and you might say to yourself, well, let me try and apply and see if I can get anything into an exhibition, for example, and then you go from there, don't you?
Well, yeah, and the good thing about Peterborough Artists Open Studios is that it's open to anyone who wants to do anything creative. And, you know, if people even come along to some of the exhibitions and talk to some of the artists of how they can actually get involved in art, because at the moment there's a big explosion of art in Peterborough at the moment, and, you know, we are encouraging people to actually come along and look at some of the art and try and get involved.
Right, so let's get to the nitty-gritty. You've done some really amazing exhibitions in the past, and you met the mayor, didn't you? Didn't you do an exhibition, and it was seen by some very high-profile people, I think for a local charity, and you met the mayor there, is that correct?
Yeah, well, last year we did an exhibition called Art for Asba, and actually I was lucky enough that the mayor actually bought a piece of my work, and also the head of the council had actually bought a piece of my work as well, so that was really, really pleasing.
That's great. And what else did you do last year? You did some pretty high-profile exhibitions last year, didn't you?
Last year I also did I've got a collection of work that I call my Black Heroes collection of work, and last year I actually showed that collection in Peterborough, I think about 3 times, and also in Cambridge as well. Okay.
So talk to us about what you're doing next. What amazing things do you have coming up next?
Wow, so far it's looking really, really exciting at the moment. Currently, I'm showing with Peterborough Art Open Studios at the moment, and this weekend is actually our final weekend. Following this, I'm showing at the John Clare Festival in Helpston. I'm also showing next month at the Edith Cavell Summer Arts Exhibition, and then I'm preparing some new work for the Black History Month at Wembley Stadium in London.
Now, how did that come about, the Wembley? Because that's that's very big, isn't it? Let's be honest.
The Wembley, I'm really, really excited about the Wembley event at the moment. I'm trying to be cool about it, but I'm really excited about it. The lady who's involved in organising the Wembley event, I actually invited her to my London exhibition, which was just a few weeks ago, and she told me about the Wembley exhibition and invited me to actually show at the Wembley exhibition, which I'm really, really excited about.
Yeah, I mean, just imagine how many new followers you're going to get from exhibiting in somewhere like that. That's big time, isn't it? Let's be honest.
It really is.
It is. I mean, you're being very modest about it, but it's amazing news to be invited to do something like that. Yeah. It really is.
I mean, it really is. I mean, the event is actually called Black History Live, and it's actually on the 1st and 2nd of October, and it's expected 20,000 people for the 2 days. So yeah, it's really big, really exciting about it, and as I said, I'm producing some new work for that at the moment.
It's excellent stuff, Tony. So, and let's just tell the audience as well, you're doing this last weekend of the Peterborough Open Studios. Where can they go to see the work that you're currently exhibiting for this?
Well, I can be currently found at Art and Stitch on Shrewsbury Avenue. That's Woodston, in Woodston,
okay, in Woodston,
the industrial estate.
Okay, so you've got much of your artwork up for the public to see there.
Yeah, quite a bit of my work's there. So public can come along the last weekend, and also there's a chance of winning £100 towards buying any piece of art.
Okay, so they can join this by they have to fill something out to enroll in the competition. Yeah,
there's actually a small form in the booklet, and any visitor coming to the exhibition can actually just fill out this form with a free chance of winning £100 towards buying any piece of art at any of the studios.
Excellent. Tony, tell us your website once again, just in case anybody didn't catch it the first time round.
Right, my website is TonyNeroBrushwork.com.
So there you go. That's Tony Nero. I want to thank you for being here in the studio with me this evening, and I wish you luck, and don't forget about me when the Queen invites you to do her portrait.
Well, funny you said that, but I've already done a portrait of the Queen. It's actually hanging in a church in London.
And also the National Portrait Gallery, haven't they archived some of your artwork as well with the Black Heroes? Is that correct?
Yes, a couple of years ago, I'd sent some images to the National Portrait Gallery in London, and they were quite keen to keep the images in their archives and in their libraries, which is really
excellent. Great. Excellent. Yeah. So there you go. You know, if you have a dream out there, just listen to what Tony said. I mean, and that's what life is about. Life is about getting out there and doing what you're here to do. It's fate. It's what we're here to do, and never be afraid to do it. Just let your feet guide you and just follow your steps. So, I want to thank all of you for listening tonight. We've had some technical difficulties, but it's been a good show. And, I'll be back not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after that. And until then, keep your eyes on the stars.
Peterborough FM, one station, many communities.